Okay, guys, here we go. A brand new beyond body experience. Something that has not happened for a while. I haven't been keeping track, to be honest with you. It had been a while, and I hadn't gone anywhere. And just now I went someplace and it was pretty cool. Let me get right into the experience so I can share it with you and share as much as I can remember in the moment. Happened about 7 minutes ago. So, as I told you, it had been a while since I had had a beyond body experience, and I had grown just a little bit frustrated with it, I guess, to a certain extent. I don't know, a little bit. And so I was lying down. I had stayed up late again studying Spanish. I had been up quite late, and then I woke up after going to sleep. I woke up and then I went to the restroom, and then I laid back down again. Now, it didn't happen immediately. I have to tell you, it did not happen immediately. In fact, I was just kind of lying there, and I was like, well, should I or shouldn't I? By the way, I've been asked before if I have something in the background on when either I astral project or I do beyond body. And I have to tell you that this morning I had on like storm sounds. You know how you can like listen to the rain or listen to the ocean waves, stuff like that. It wasn't any binaural type of thing. It was just the sound of a storm in the background. That's it. So, just so you know. But, so I was lying there, and nothing was really happening. I was seeing little bits and pieces of stuff in, as I had told you before, when I shut my eyes and I'm a bit tired, I can see things, and I was seeing flashes of little things. I saw a flash of a desert that was really dark, and it almost reminded me of Arizona. But that was just an instant, and then I saw a glimpse of something for a moment, but nothing really that much. And I was just like, well, it probably isn't going to happen again. Then suddenly, and this was so sudden, it just came upon me in a very sudden way. It was like I turned, I think to the left, perhaps, and suddenly I was in that state. I was in that in-between state. Now, I wasn't moving. And at this point in the in-between state, or what some refer to as the vibrational state. I raised my vibrational state, but I see it as sort of an in-between state, a state that I recognize and I know, even though there's darkness, I know that I'm in a different state. Suddenly things had changed. My awareness had changed. My consciousness had changed. I was there. Now, in the very beginning, I could hear a woman's voice was right near me, and she whispered something to me. I don't know. I wasn't comfortable with it for whatever reason, and I was like, whose voice is that? It was someone that was near me somehow, some way. But I told the person, whoever it was, look, I don't want to talk to you right now. This is, to my mind, I'm thinking, this is something really cool. I haven't been able to do this for a while. So, I mean, obviously, I didn't mean to be rude to whoever this was. But I was like, look, we can talk later. I got to get out of here because I haven't felt this in such a long time. Again, I hadn't moved yet. I hadn't felt that sense of acceleration yet. I could just hear her voice, whoever it was, and I was like, okay, am I gonna move? I'm thinking, because normally it just happens automatically, but this was something unusual in my thoughts. I thought, okay, move. Now, normally I feel that there's a force that just catapults me, right? That I don't do it mentally. This time I did it mentally. I went from being there, from just kind of hanging out to go, just by thinking I want to go. And as soon as I did that, I just, boom, I just went forward. I started moving faster and faster. And whoever that woman's voice or whatever that presence was, I left that presence behind. I was gone. I was moving. And, I kept moving, kept feeling that sense of acceleration, that sense of movement that I always feel, and pushing in the darkness. And then, as always, the backdrop, my surroundings began to reveal themselves. Suddenly, I was in a very large, it looked like an abandoned building, or inside of one. But you know what? It wasn't, you know what it kind of reminded me of? If you were in a showroom, like a car showroom or something like that, and they had removed all the cars, and perhaps years had gone by and it had been mismanaged, and there was maybe some debris on the ground, that sort of thing. There were huge windows, so I could see out of these huge windows. But if this was a car, and a place where they would display cars inside, if this was that kind of a place, and there were no cars, there was nothing there, it was completely empty. Now, on one side of this building, other than the windows I could see out, and there was like a city out there, there was a street, there were street signs, stuff like that, I could see a reflective surface, like a mirror. For the first time I saw myself, and it was interesting. I looked a lot different than I look in this reality now. I am assuming that I was in another reality, and that I'm gonna try. I can't 100% confirm that this is the case. And recently, of course, I have found out. I'm sure many of you have heard of Robert Monroe, the person who's basically the founder and father of the modern movement of astral projection, with the book that he wrote. And he talked about a place called Locale 3, where he was able to be in another reality. Now, I hadn't read Robert Monroe for many years. I had taken a look at the book, but I hadn't even thought about it. And something I was reading, someone had brought it up, and then I realized, wow, he also talked about being in a parallel reality. At times when he would leave his body, he would end up going to a place that was sort of a parallel reality for him. Well, I believe that these are parallel realities that I go to, that I'm able to do that. And in this instance, like I said, I saw myself. Finally, I saw myself. I looked very similar. I had sort of an afro. Now, I'm black, and I don't have hair. Well, at least in this reality, I have no hair. I'm completely bald. And so, and I have a mustache, I have a goatee. But in this reality, I saw my reflection. I was wearing sunglasses. I had kind of an afro, and I could see, one of the things I noticed was my hairline was starting to recede. I could see it hadn't receded completely. Not completely. You could just see the beginnings of it beginning to recede. The rest of me, I was wearing a jacket. I think I was just wearing pants. I don't remember the details of exactly what they look like, but that's fine. I saw my reflection and I was like, wow, I look different, but there was this sense that I got that it was me, but it was different. I looked different. So I go out the door and I'm in an area like, it wasn't a very nice, I don't think this was a nice area really, to be honest with you. It was definitely a city. It was maybe a more of an urban area, maybe an area that wasn't all that well taken care of, I guess. There were buildings and there was a street sign, and I was thinking to myself, I want to get to this street sign because I want to bring something back for you. I want to get a street for you, so that I can tell you what the street is, so I can say, hey, look, I was at this street in whatever reality it is, and I wonder if, this street exists in our reality. I wasn't sure, but so I go to the street sign and I start to see something that says, I think it said Verdugo or Ver something. It was something like that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to actually read the sign because someone had walked by me and had looked at me, and I looked up at him, and he kept staring at me, and I looked at him. I don't know if I knew this person or not. He was... I don't remember much about the description of this person, to be completely honest with you. I don't remember much. He didn't look like a nice person. Let's just put it that way. And he was staring at me, and then he said, "What are you looking at?" And I was like, looking at him like, "What?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean? What are you looking at?" And I started backing away from him because he didn't seem happy at all. And he said, "I told you not to look at me," or something. Again, there may have been more words that were exchanged, but I'm not sure if I remember correctly or not, what the conversation was exactly. I just remember that this person was upset. So I started backing away, and I started thinking, oh no, I just got here, and this, I'm going to have to go. I'm thinking I'm going to have to leave because this person is threatening me, and I don't know what's going to happen if he comes at me or whatever. I know that at any moment, if this person wasn't a pleasant person, I can just get out of there. But I wanted to, again, try and stay there as long as I can. And I saw the person start to reach into his pocket. I was, again, continuing to back away. I seemed to be near a bus stop of some sort. There was a bus stop of some sort that I was near, and there was a main street. And these guys were standing near this bus stop, and they were talking to me because... So there was one person, let me make sure I clarify this. Again, I'm doing this right after I had this experience, so sometimes things will just kind of start coming back to me. There was one person at first, and then two people joined him, and they were all talking to me. They were all saying stuff to me. They were all seemed very upset and agitated, and I was thinking, why are they upset with me? I don't even know these people. Why are they mad at me? And then something really weird happened. It's so funny because a part of me doesn't even like talking about things like this when it happens in these realities, because I don't want you to think that I'm kind of trying to make things bigger than what they were. But you know what? I'm just going to relay to you what happened and let you decide what it was. I was concerned because they reached into their pocket. So I was thinking to myself, I know that I've had certain abilities in certain places, certain things that were extraordinary in certain places. In one place I was able to fly, in another place I was able to bend something that was made of steel, and I bent it as easily as anything and then threw it. And I think that made them, the whomever it was in that particular reality, leave me alone. Where, well, in this place, I was thinking, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. So I simply, out of instinct, I pointed my finger towards the person's legs. And as soon as I did that, this person fell to their knees. They stopped threatening me. And I'm thinking, I don't know what I just did, but all I did was point to the person's legs. And then I looked at the other person started coming toward me. One of the other people started coming toward me, and I said, sleep. And the person just fell. They were gone. That's it. They were sleeping like a baby. Just fell asleep. And I was like, what in the universe? I don't know how I was able to do it. I'm just again relaying to you that this is what happened. This was what was happening before in this place. I'm just relaying it to you. So at that point, I was like, okay, all right. I think the third person backed off or something like that. And I was like, all right, I'm going to continue to explore. This seems to not be a problem anymore. I turned around and then boom, I lost my grip. And I remember I was back and I was like, oh my God, I was yelling, or not yelling, but I was like, so much like, oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Because I was so happy that I had just had that experience. I hadn't had an experience in so long. So that was my experience. I wish I could remember more for you. Yeah. Anyway, it's nice to be back in the saddle again. Nice to be traveling again. Nice to be going out there again. Yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.